this, God willing, is not going to last forever. So you're going to need to be thinking about what's your message post-COVID, and how do you keep your customers following you? How do you stay engaged with them?
This is Coffee Break with Val Feeney.
Hi, everybody. My name is Valentine Feeney from Gordon Atlantic Insurance, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Break. My guest today is Jim Farrell, founder and president of PR First, a leading PR firm here in Massachusetts. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Val. Good morning, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad to have you. Very interesting times for PR. During COVID, you saw companies do a lot of PR, do a little PR, or flat out do no PR. Why don't you tell us a little about what you guys do and what you're seeing out there?
Sure, of course. We, a real quick look at what we do. We work with businesses and organizations and help them take advantage of the opportunities that are available through the news media. So those are anything from simple press announcements about a new hire or something to do with their company, to their being quoted in stories that are ongoing about their industry, to their being interviewed, and to oftentimes they're having a chance to write a thought leadership piece, a blog, an article in a magazine, a newspaper, or online. So most companies don't really take much advantage of it. So our role is to go into a company, find out what its story is, and help them tell it through the media. What we've seen in terms of PR during this COVID outbreak, the last 4 months in particular, at first it was like a lot of companies were shell-shocked. It was like, we don't think people want to know what we're doing right now, so we're just going to close up. But there were other businesses and some industries, banks, and I would dare say your insurance industry, a number of the professional services saw the need to really communicate very clearly and very, very often with their different audiences. It could be their employees, it could be their customers. And at first the communications were what we all heard when this began. How often, what are the hygiene practices that your institution does? How often should you wash your hands? Should you wear masks? And after a while that began to change, and people began to realize there's a lot of negative news going on out there. All you do is turn on any of the cable channels and you'll see a death count every day. And it's the real kind of gloom and doom coverage that I think we saw the last time back in 08 and 09 when there was the financial collapse, and that was all everybody seemed to be focused on. And so it became a challenge for businesses to, how do I get my message out? How do I break through that clutter? How do I let people know that we're open for business, we're available for curbside pickup, we're still doing this, we're still doing that? Because what we have tried to counsel clients on is this, God willing, is not going to last forever. So you're going to need to be thinking about what's your message post-COVID, and how do you keep your customers following you? How do you stay engaged with them? And what we've told people is what you say is very important, and how you say it is even more so. So yeah. We're seeing companies, we're seeing, like, for instance, financial institutions and CPA firms and others like that and insurance agencies who are trusted advisors to their customers, seeing the need for them to step up their communications. And many of them have done that. And I think that's a good thing. What we're helping clients with most these days is getting those thought leadership or expert pieces placed so that when people read these magazines, they see a name attached to an industry and that's the one they think of. And just in case they don't see it, we tell them, take these links and post it up on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and wherever else you go. So we think there's a real opportunity for companies to communicate without necessarily we tell them, don't be overly promotional.
Gotcha. And that's an angle we like to take at Gordon Atlantic, is just positioning ourselves as the expert and providing that information rather than see what we're doing type of stuff. So yeah, I know you subscribe to that theory as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what can businesses be doing right now? I know you touched on a little bit about communication with their clients, but what can businesses be doing right now, thinking about, from a PR standpoint, what's best practices? What can they do to be best positioned when this all dies down, hopefully?
I think that again, I would say what we always advise our clients is Be educational, be informative. Don't be promotional at this time. Don't be overly promotional. So let people know why it's important for them to do business with you. Let them know about your expertise. So what companies should be doing, first of all, is they should be not making any assumptions about what their customers and clients do and don't know about the status of their business. So for the
Great point.
email channels, I think they should do regular communications, whether that's an online newsletter, whether it's an email blast, whether it's even a letter from the president. We sometimes see that those personal touches, I'm just writing to see how you're doing, telling you what's going on with us, but we want to know about you. And so communicating and letting them know they're there. So I think through the email and social media channels, it's very important to do that. I think in terms of reaching out to the external market, this is a good time for companies to start thinking about, even if they're not ready to do it yet, what do we want to be saying as people start to turn away from just focusing on this pandemic? So start thinking about, what are your areas of expertise? What advice can you offer companies that what advice can you offer people who are struggling and looking for solutions right now? If you're a CPA firm, for example, you can be talking about, what are the tax implications of this? What should you be doing to make sure your house is in order? If you provide a service of some kind, give away some advice, give away some free advice. In my industry, it would be like my writing an article for a business journal and saying, here are 10 things you should do and 10 things you shouldn't do if you want to write your own press release. And I think sometimes when companies provide information, they provide helpful information, they become an even greater trusted and go-to source than they were before.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, your advice is always the best and it's always welcome. So thank you for that. On a more personal note, what are you looking forward to the most when this is all over?
Well, as you and I know, who belong to different networking groups, meeting via Zoom and GoToMeeting, it's a good substitute. It's not the same as being in person. So I think I'm looking forward to, from a business point of view, being able to meet clients and friends and colleagues in person. On a personal side, not business necessarily, I'm looking forward to being able to travel a little bit more freely, being able to visit with family and do some fun things that we haven't been able to do in a while.
I agree. Likewise, I'm getting sick of email and Zooms and looking forward to meeting some clients at their locations. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, everybody, this has been Jim Farrell, founder and president of PR First. Thanks for coming on, Jim. Much appreciated. Oh,
thank you, Val. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
Much appreciated. I am Valentine Feeney from Gordon Atlantic Insurance. We make insurance make sense. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.